Okay. Live on Instagram, and we're live here. Cool.
Perfect.
Okay, so I have my phone muted, so I'm gonna leave my laptop on a little bit.
Okay.
Awesome. So hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We're live right now with Lauren Waller.
Hi.
Hi. All right, hold on. I gotta keep.
I'm gonna turn my volume up.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Yes?
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
That's awesome. I love your background right now. Is it your room? It's gorgeous.
This is the kitchen. I'm at the kitchen table. These are fake vines from Amazon, so.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about branding on social media and stuff like that. So if you want to go ahead and just tell everyone a little bit about yourself before we jump into questions.
Yeah, so I am Lauren Waller. I am a singer-songwriter based in Los Angeles, California. And I have a very mixed feeling belief about social media. I actually really don't like social media, but obviously as a musician, it's something that I've kind of had to figure out and get more of a grasp and control on it. I've been doing music pretty much my whole life, but more professionally in the fact for like 5 or 6 years now, since I was 18 or 19, and I'm 25 now. That's pretty much like the very quick version of who I am. I do pop music. That's probably important. I'm an indie pop kind of vibe, a little bit sometimes edgier. I talk a lot about how I do sad music normally. It's always a little bit more depressing, but in a fun way.
Which is the best part.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we could just jump in. You just released Best Coast. Congrats on the new release.
Thank you.
Awesome. So it has, last time I checked, 6,500 streams on Spotify. So how did you work on getting those streams up?
So releasing Best Coast actually has been like the weirdest timing in the world. I had planned on releasing it before COVID and a pandemic and isolation hit the US, and obviously it hit the US, so I pushed it off a few weeks, and then I actually ended up scheduling it for release on June 1st, which was right around the time where pretty much everything exploded in America in relation to Black Lives Matter. So I didn't feel comfortable promoting my song at all because it was not the space on the internet at the time to promote Best Coast personally for myself. I think I literally made one post and I was like, this song is out here. That's all I'm going to say about it for the next week, 2 weeks. And what I then ended up really needing to do, because while I knew it wasn't my place to be online talking about my song, I still wanted to get streams on my song. So I really focused on trying to get onto playlists, because I mean, that's where you get all your streams from, because I'm a smaller artist, so I don't have a huge fan base that I can rely on getting stream after stream. So I really need to focus on getting onto these playlists. And so I've used a few different methods in the past and kind of have figured out what's worked best for me, beyond working with Cyber PR, who helps me get attention with blogs and playlisting and things like that. I've also been able to kind of look into different accounts online that you can use to submit your music. So a good one that I've used in the past is Submit Hub. And that's like a really great way. It connects you to different bloggers. It connects you to different playlisters. I believe you also can have an option to reach out to record labels, but that's not really what I'm focused on right now. I'm not focused on getting or signing a record deal. I'm focused on kind of just building up my own music and my brand. So Submit Hub's been a good one. Another really great resource that I use is the Spotify artists, just artist.spotify.com, because that way I'm actually able to really track what playlists are working, what kind of just like who's listening to my music, who I can target if I do decide to run Facebook or Instagram ads. That way I can use the information that Spotify provides to me about who's listening to my music. I can target future listeners better that way. I also use, I pay to use this Spotify Artist is free, but I pay to use this other website called Chartmetric, which is like artists for Spotify, but times 1,000 because it tracks everything. It tracks all your social media. It tracks Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, Amazon Music. It tracks everything for you. It breaks everything down into genres. And it actually also allows me to, if I'm just looking at my Instagram, I can see what my followers, what they're reacting to and what they like interacting with, instead of just like, I mean, obviously I know people who follow me enjoy music as well, but I also understand that I offer a few different other things. So like I know a lot of my followers enjoy fashion content and stuff like that. So kind of just that kind of all plays into how I get more streams on Spotify is just really trying to figure out my audience. Yeah.
Yeah, like the most important part is figuring out that audience.
Yeah.
And
which
you
is
want
hard,
to have, you know, different aspects to your brand besides just the music, which yours, a lot of it is fashion, which girl, don't even.
Thank you.
Awesome. So next question. Your Instagram feed, on point, as always. What editing apps do you usually use, like VSCO or anything like that?
So you say as always, it didn't, it did not start out as always. Instagram used to be a mess, and I have since archived all of the old posts and can't really see how bad it used to look. I used to use VSCO, and then, so if you actually scroll back far enough on my Instagram feed, I used to do like little chunks of 3. So it would be 3 pink, 3 more of like purpley muted, and then 3 green. And that's how I edited. And I used VSCO for that, and I really liked it. But then I just started, I don't know why, my brain started going crazy. It would really bother me when it was just like one square off and like none of the lines matched up. So then I got into Lightroom, which that's like the big thing. Like all these influencers on Instagram are selling their preset packages. And I was able to find, it was a smaller influencer who I follow. So like one, I felt good about supporting like a much smaller influencer, and she was running a sale on her presets, and I was like, whatever, like I'll just buy them, I'll try them. And I really love that now. It's the easiest thing in the world for me to use. Lightroom was kind of weird when I first downloaded it. It's like, it takes you a few minutes to figure out kind of what's going on, because it lets you edit so much on it. And so now I just have these presets that I use. I can edit, go in like on my own photos, like change like the contrast and the exposure and stuff like that. Other apps, I am currently obsessed with PixArt, which is, I've started doing like these, they're really stupid, but I really like them. Just little collages that I've been putting up on my feed more. That's like been really fun for me to play with, especially in quarantine because I'm in California. I know like a lot of the other states are opening up more, but California is still under stricter protocols, and I'm just personally choosing to isolate as much as possible. So it's been really, I don't know, it's been good to like get some creative energy out in a really easy way on PixArt. That app's free. Both of them are free. Lightroom and Lightroom Mobile is free, and PixArt you can like pay to get some better like images, but I just use the free one. And then I do use, if I ever post videos, I use Film, Filmm, I think, 2 M's. And I do pay for the subscription for that one, just because that was like what also bothered me about, I think you can do it on VSCO too. I think you can pay to edit videos, but I didn't like whenever I posted a video that it just didn't match everything else. And I like Film. Film lets you resize all the different pictures and videos. You can edit them all together. It's like a really easy version of iMovie. So I use Film a lot. And then Canva, which you actually introduced me to, and it's my favorite thing on this planet. I use Canva I pay for the subscription on Canva just because it lets you resize anything you make. So if I make something specifically for Twitter, I can just hit one button and I can resize it for Facebook, for Instagram stories. It saves me so much time. And I use that a lot if I'm posting like a show flyer or something. And then they've also you can do animations now on them, like little GIF videos. And I really like that.
You can. Yeah, awesome. Lightroom is something we haven't really talked about on here yet, but it's definitely becoming, more popular and more like the new norm for
Mhm.
Instagram filters. It's something that I learned how to use in college because I was graphic design major. So it's something we used in photography class.
Mhm.
It can be confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And the presets are super easy to use.
Yeah, I haven't tried building my own presets yet. I feel like that would be the most challenging part of the app. So it's just like finding, I mean, it's so easy. If you follow influencers and you like the way that their feed looks, the odds are they probably sell their preset too. So you are able to not copy their feed, because obviously all photos you take are going to be different, and you can still edit within the preset, which is what I really like.
Right. Awesome. Cool. Do you have any engagement tips for Instagram?
Be on it all the time. Which it's unhealthy. I know it's unhealthy. It's embarrassing to look at. Your phone lets you track like how much you're on each app. I don't even want to talk about it. But just I used to never be on it. I used to post very, very sporadically. And it just obviously wasn't working. So being on it more, I've learned now if I'm going to post something, I have to carve out like the next 30 minutes to an hour of being willing to sit by my phone and be on Instagram and respond to comments that people are leaving. Because that's the whole point of engagement. What incentivizes a person to engage with you if you're just going to leave them on red, pretty much, if you're just going to ignore them. And even if somebody just comments like a few emojis, which you're like, okay, what do I respond to this? Just like their comment at the very least, which I love that Instagram lets you do that.
Or just comment a few emojis back.
Yeah, comment emojis back.
But don't make that your thing. Like if you're going and engaging with other people's photos,
actually comment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's like, and I've noticed a lot of like, if you ask a question at the end of your caption, instead of like captioning your photo like something completely random, and at the end being like, oh, and like comment below your favorite, like this and this. Like I try to, if I'm going to ask a question like that, I want to tie it into the whole caption. And that way it's, because it's like you can't, I feel like when Instagram first started, really short captions are really, really popular, like short and quirky, and like they were always puns. But that doesn't leave room for engagement. You want to write, and even if it takes you more time, you want to take the time to write out like an actual well thought out caption that makes people want to engage with it, instead of just having, and sometimes it's fun, and sometimes it's just fun to write a silly caption, but instead of having that and then just expecting people to want to engage with it, that's been something that I focused on, is trying to kind of dive a little bit deeper into what social media is.
Yeah, no, definitely. Asking questions in captions is really good for engagement. Definitely.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Awesome. You post stories pretty frequently. You kind of stay on top of that. How do you, keep posting those consistently without feeling, kind of overwhelmed or like you're oversharing?
I feel like the majority of my audience watches my stories. You're able to change on your Instagram if you want to have like a business account versus just what you sign up for Instagram with. And so I'm able to look at my insights and see like what people are exiting out of, what people are tapping through, or what they're actually staying and watching. And I have a much higher engagement rate on my stories. So it's become important to me to post more often. Just because like if that's where my fan base is looking at me, then I'm going to want to try to connect more through that. From not feeling overwhelmed with it, sometimes I'll like batch edit a few things to just have saved to post later. Like, so with the release of a song, that's obviously very easy. If you're releasing a song, music, or any product, you're able to edit a few. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. That's very poor timing. There we go. If you're sorry, I keep getting so many spam calls. Like this, entire past few months. It's
I get them like 4 times a day.
Yeah. So, so if I'm able to edit a bunch of things, like I know, okay, I'm going to be promoting Best Coast, so I'm going to make just a few really easy things that I make. Because if I am having a really busy day, or if I'm busy working on a different product or project, I want to be able to just post something. So that's one way, is like just kind of preparing and knowing I need to be posting something. So I'm going to have something in my back pocket ready to post. Right. As for oversharing, it took me a bit to figure out what I want to share on social media, because I went from having a completely personal account into making it into my music account. And I had a very, very small following on my personal account. Like I'm actually like a pretty private person, so I didn't have that many followers. So it was a big adjustment trying to flip and trying to engage with strangers. And like what was really important for me for not oversharing or feeling too overwhelmed was figuring out what exactly I want to be sharing on my social media versus like some things that like I just don't think people would care about as much. Like for example, I volunteer coach a high school mock trial team, and I don't post about that on my social media. So that's like right. one aspect of my life where I'm like, no, I could probably leave that out and focus instead more on more personal related things to like what we were talking about before with like the fashion or music or just different kind of things that I see people actually engaging with, versus just like, I'm not going to get on here and post like every single day about just every little nitpicky thing in my day.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. And it kind of serves like a little vlog. It's like your own personal little mini vlog, and people love seeing the person behind the music. So it's definitely important. And it's actually, to what you said, there's been multiple studies that show that people are engaging more on stories than they are in their actual feed at this point. So yeah, definitely important. Awesome. What is your favorite social media platform and why? I'm going to guess Instagram, but
so it is Instagram, but like I told you, I've recently jumped onto TikTok, and I think I spend the most time on TikTok now. I may not post as much on TikTok, but I think that's my favorite social media app currently. So Instagram's my favorite because I actually feel like I can really connect with people on here. It's very easy to tell stories through Instagram. It's very easy to connect and stay connected with people, versus on TikTok. I think that it's really fun right now because it's not a new app, but it's like new to a lot of people. So it's fun getting to see new faces and getting to see constantly new faces, because that's the way that their platform works. It puts you on, instead of like who you follow, it puts you on a For You page, which is like a much better version of the Instagram Explore page. Yeah. And you're constantly seeing new people to interact with. So I like that. I like TikTok in the aspect that I can meet a lot of new people, but I haven't really been able to find a way to connect with people the way that I have on Instagram, which is what I enjoy about Instagram, is the connection that you can build.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. Like TikTok is fun, and it's probably my favorite just to scroll through, but like I have comments on other people's TikToks that have like 16,000 likes, but I still only have like 100 followers. You know, like people don't really go into it and try to connect.
Yeah.
They're just there for like a joke.
Yeah, which and it's so great and it's so entertaining, and I refuse. I put myself off from TikTok for so long because I was like, I'm way too old to be on this app. And sometimes I do feel like I'm way too old to be on that app. But it's like, it's super fun, and and I have been able to see, like, specifically in music, I have been able to see like really successful stories come out of that. Yeah. And I've been able to find artists that I really, really love. But it's with those artists that I love, I've gone and I've followed them on Instagram. Right. And I interact more on Instagram than with them on TikTok.
Exactly. Yeah. But TikTok is definitely, it has become more recently more of a, music discovery platform.
Yeah.
Because you're using sounds. It definitely has become that. Uh, people are saying they're going to ban TikTok.
I know, China.
God. How would you define your brand?
Biggest aspect of my brand is my red hair, which sounds so ridiculous to say, but
it's been that way since I've met you.
Yeah, physical branding is really important. I mean, with anything, even it's weird to brand yourself as a person. So if you just think about it as like a company, obviously, first thing you think about when you think of a company is their logo. And so my red hair is actually like a really big part of my brand. And in a weird way, it's kind of a big part of my personality as well. Just between, like, I don't know, people's conceptions of people with red hair and like different stereotypes and things like that leads into it. But besides that, I really strive for it.
I definitely think you have a soul. So,
well, I'm not actually naturally a redhead, so right. I definitely have a soul. But besides that, I really strive to have a very honest and more truthful, and I think of my music as storytelling. That's like the most important part to me in music, is telling a story and connecting to others. So I think that that's like a huge part of my brand, is storytelling and and having that connection, which is like what I've been talking about this whole time, is making connections with people. And then just like on a very like surface level, like I like to think that I'm funny. Like I like funny, relatable, because I think a lot about what I write is pretty relatable to, I would hope, a majority of people. So very storytelling, relatable, truthful, red hair. That's
the only thing I don't relate to is Best Coast. I just change it. I'm like, no.
I actually, the funny thing about that is I think I like the East Coast more. My mom is from New York, so I have loved getting to go back and spending time in New York almost every single year since I was born. And I love California. I've lived here my whole life. I sunburn really easily, so I'm not even at the beach that much.
It's that Irish skin. I got it too. Awesome. What was it like kind of transitioning from, when I first met you, you had more of this, good girl sound and vibe to you, and you've kind of more recently gone to the edgier side with your music.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, that just comes with, I think, age. I mean, obviously you can be an edgy teenager. I mean, look at Billie Eilish, but I was not an edgy teenager by any means. And also it's kind of like my writing is a bit in slow motion, I guess. So my first few songs that I ever released, I wrote them when I was 18, and I don't think that the music actually came out until I was 20. And that was all stories from when I was in high school. So obviously that's going to sound a lot different than the experiences that I had gone through in college. So then my second EP, that was written at the end, towards the end of my college career, more like junior, senior year. So that's like younger stories moving forward. And then like these past two songs, so Best Coast obviously is very different than anything that I've released before. And Night Stalker, which was my single that I just released 4 months ago, I think. Night Stalker is definitely more familiar to other music I've written. Very bit darker, a bit edgier, but it's about a serial killer, which obviously kind of amps up the edginess a little bit with that. But that's just like, it came very natural, the more edgier sound, just because that's what I'm more interested in. That's what I really listen to. I'm not that into bubblegum pop, even though like I will listen to it, and I hate people who rag on bubblegum pop, because sometimes you just need to hear like a fun, catchy song. But I definitely listen to a bit more indie music, a bit more alternative. So it was just a natural transition in my music as well. And then Best Coast, I just wanted to write a fun song for once. That's kind of right. And the fun song happened to be about partying in California, and that just it's just what I felt like writing about. when I went into the studio that day, one of my writing partners like had the really great idea of like the chorus, like partying in California. And I was like, yeah, that sounds perfect. Let's write about that.
Awesome. I love that. Awesome. Who are some of your favorite fashion influences?
So when you sent me this question yesterday to think about, I realized I didn't really have any specific people. And so it took me a while to like think about actual names, because I find myself much more inspired by television shows and theater and music itself,
Right.
rather than just people. The thing I love most about fashion for me is that it's constantly fluid and constantly changing, because I think that fashion is the greatest means of self-expression. It's just weird as a musician to say, but like if you're just walking down the street, you're going to look at me as a person rather than knowing what songs I've written.
Right.
And I studied theater in college, theater production and design. So I was really into hair and makeup design and costume design as well. So that's always kind of played into where I pulled fashion influences from, like either really vintage period piece styles, which are coming back and a bit more popular today, which is really exciting to see because it makes it easier to find. And then for specific people that I thought of, I am really, really inspired actually by a tattoo artist called Girl New York, who you probably have heard of. She does Ariana Grande's tattoos.
Yep.
Her tattoos themselves, like I think she is a really stylish person, but her tattoos are really inspiring for me to see and kind of play with, because it's all very fluid, and she designs really fun like girls. Like that's her whole brand, is like girls in New York. So it's like fun looking at just these just line drawings that she's done. And then Harry Styles actually is a huge one, which is it's so funny too. He has perfectly nailed like everything I want to dress as. That's like, I think musicians, what they tour in is what I'm influenced just to wear on the daily. I really like how that's something that the music industry has really exploded in doing more elaborate tours and doing more themed productions. It's all of always their outfits are just incredible. And the more costumey, the better for me. I really like the kind of like larger than life idea and bringing it down into day-to-day wear, which is cool.
Yeah. Awesome. You partnered with Bang's Shoes, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You're like an ambassador for them, which is so cool. Mm-hmm. How did, that all happen?
So one of my friends actually, who is a photographer, her name is Britt Rivera. I went to college together. She's my really good friend, and she became an ambassador for them. And I was like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? And she was like, they're actually really incredibly comfortable shoes. You should apply for the program because you get a good discount. And I was like, okay, because I needed a pair of new shoes. And so you apply for the program. I don't know the exact percentages of people that they accept, but I got accepted, and I've been doing it long enough now where they've kind of changed their program a bit. I'm like a VIP ambassador. And the best part, the reason why I keep doing it, because I may not be buying, like I have a few pairs of shoes, but I'm not buying them constantly, is that it actually has grown really good engagement, which goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. Another way to get engagement is there are those things, they're like Instagram pods, which I don't really like those, where you like all agree to always comment and like on only one another's posts. I don't like that. I don't like that version of Instagram. So what I like about the Bang Shoes community is that they do these monthly days where everybody in the community is posting and sharing content. And that's like the new way to find new people to interact with. And I've been able to find like there's like a lot of musicians in the community, and there's a lot of artists in the community. So those are the people that like I've gravitated towards interacting with, which has been really cool to kind of figure out. And I know I that's the only ambassador program I've really ever been a part of. So maybe that's how a lot of different programs do it. But I just really like that version of that Bangs is doing, because you also can talk to them through what's that work messaging app, Slack.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you're able to like, it's all about connection. It's all about like growing those connections and keeping them. So that's kind of just how I ended up doing Bangs. Is my friend told me I should get a pair of shoes.
And you were like, okay, that's awesome.
Okay. And they're really comfortable. They actually are really comfortable.
I'm sure. Maybe I'll get a pair. I'll use your code or link. I don't know how it works.
I have a code.
Okay. Do you want to? What's your code?
Oh, I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay. I was just like, shout out your code. If you could pick someone dead or alive to duet with, who would it be?
The obvious answer for me, because I say it in every single interview I ever do, is Sara Bareilles. She is my like all-time #1 inspiration in music. She is the reason why I fell in love with music. Like 7th grade, 13-year-old Lauren had never felt emotion before hearing her music. So that would be like a really big one for me to want to duet with or write with or just meet. And then another really big inspiration to me would be Carole King. I think that would be like the most iconic moment of my life, is if I were able to duet with Carole King.
Right. That's awesome. Those are great choices. Seriously.
Very similar too at the same time.
Yes. Yes. Do you have any shows planned for 2021 yet?
Nope, because I have no idea what's happening in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think you would. It's a really weird time.
Yeah, I was originally scheduled to open for Katie Tunstall in May this year. So I was really, really excited about that. And Katie Tunstall, for those who don't know, she does like Black Horse and the Cherry Tree and Suddenly I See. So I was really, really excited about that. The concert is still postponed. I am like fingers crossed, hopefully everything will work out where, one, we're allowed to do live music again and live shows, and two, that she would bring me back on to open for her. So that would be like, that's the hope for 2021. But it's such a weird time. Nobody can really even say for certain when anything is going to open or be safe to open. And I am personally like, let's shut down just a little bit longer. Like as much as it is halting for my own career and halting for like thousands of people's careers, I'm kind of on the team. Let's wait it out a little bit longer. I'm not rushing to get back into a crowded room.
No, yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah.
Awesome. How do you prepare usually for a live performance?
So it depends. Do you mean like preparation in like all of it, like promoting a show, or just preparation like in my own mind?
I meant like in your own mind, but you could talk about both.
Okay. So just preparation for social media and stuff. Obviously, like I'll use Canva and those different things to make flyers, those different editing apps that we talked about at the beginning to make flyers for the show, and just promoting them across the board as much as I can. I have a newsletter email list that I'll try to send out upcoming shows on. I put it all up on my website. So that's just like, that's one part of it. And if I'm doing, like I've done a few shows before where instead of, if I'm not just opening for an artist at like a bigger named artist, and I'm doing more at a smaller venue with a group of other indie artists, it's really important to connect with them on Instagram or social media and cross promote, like say like, hey, like send me some pictures that you want me to put out and I'll send you some of those, and like just making one of those carousel posts on Instagram and promoting that as much as possible. Because I mean, if you're playing a show with them, you want to support them too, because their audience then becomes your audience. As for in my mind, it depends on what kind of show I'm doing. I normally play with myself, and I have a keyboard player, and so his name's Ryan Benyo. He actually is a co-writer on a lot of my songs, and so he and I will just go and we'll rehearse depending on if we're doing like an acoustic performance or a a not acoustic performance. Obviously, that changes the setup a little bit, but I'll rehearse with him more regularly. He and I play a lot together, so we're kind of at the point where we feel really solid if we only do like 2 or 3 rehearsals, which is good, especially if I get like a last minute show. I recently, in the past year, started playing with, we found a drummer who I really like, but he lives far away. He lives up in Northern California. So the way, if we're doing a show with him, he'll come down like 3 days before the performance. And then first 2 days, like we're going to rehearse with him. And then obviously performance day will perform. So it kind of just depends. Mentally, I'm doing, my biggest fear, because it happens to me all the time, is I am the worst with my lyrics. I don't know why. I can't remember anything I ever write. So that's like, I'm just constantly going over in my head and writing them, physically writing them down on a piece of paper, like my own words that I have actually already written, and I can never remember them. So it's just like stupid little things like that, writing them down. And then, you know, actually warming up my voice on the day of, full on. I mean, but whenever you sing, you should be warming up your voice, but a much longer, more in-depth vocal warm-up is always key. And then I never eat, which it's not nerves. It's I feel so affected whenever I eat. So then like it really sucks if I'm doing like a late night show, because then I'm eating at like 10 p.m. so hungry. But I'm one of those people who just, I can't eat before I sing. Wow. I feel like I sound different, so I can't do it.
That's really funny.
I know, not probably like the best thing to promote. Like, please eat, don't pass out on stage. But I'll eat a lunch, and then like I have a long time where I'm just like, okay, no more food.
Right. Awesome. Okay, we've got about like 7-ish minutes left before we should hop off, so that Instagram doesn't yell at me. So if anybody else has any questions, feel free to send them in. I know you wanted, somebody said sing some lines. I know you wanted to kind of talk about the IGTV thing that you're doing.
Oh yeah, so Kayla had actually asked me to sing my new song today, but I'm in the middle of moving, in the middle of a quarantine, and it's just been very hectic. And so I was like, I don't know where anything is. So I am planning on, in hopefully the next few weeks, to do either just an Instagram live and saving it as an IGTV, or just posting it as an IGTV. Doing a performance of my new song Best Coast, and probably my new song Night Stalker as well. I've yet to perform either of them live because they were released during a shutdown. So if you want to stay up to date with me, I would be sure to follow me on Instagram. I also have just live videos that I have posted on my Instagram before. I have a YouTube account that I don't use that much. I probably should use more, but everything, if you go to my feed, which is at L Waller Music, I have a little link tree in my bio, which will take you to my YouTube, my Instagram, my Twitter, my TikTok, all my different platforms. So that would be the best place to hear me sing if you want to hear some. And then obviously you can listen to all my music on Spotify, Apple Music. It should be on every streaming service. It's even on SoundCloud if you want to listen to it for free.
Awesome.
I saw one of my friends actually popped in. Dropped by to say hi. Oh, he just says I love you. Okay, thanks.
That's so sweet. Okay, awesome. Well, I think we are good to go, and we can hop on off. It was great having you. Thanks so much for hopping on.
No, thank you for having me. This was super fun. I've never done this before, so it's cool.
Yeah, it is fun. Keep me in the loop about your IGTV, because we will obviously share it on our stories.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, Lauren.
No, thanks for having me.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.